How's it going, Critter Family? I hope you all are doing well. Today we are looking at a question from Christine Leonard. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Christine Leonard. Taylor, I have a training question. My dog is 10 years old. He is 13 pounds. Not tiny, but not Adonis sized. Adonis was about 40 pounds overweight. Reactive to other dogs. How do I get him used to other dogs? Should I take him to a dog park to help him socialize? Any input would help. So, good question. And part of that question of socializing is getting him used to other dogs and people, especially if he is reactive. But the other part of that to socializing is not just dogs and people, but rather different places, sights, sounds, smells, different textures, being in a windy area versus a totally calm day, taking them to the beach to experience sand between their toes, and they kind of lose balance. It's different walking in sand than on, and gravel than on, bigger stones and rocks or concrete. So if you're walking on, a wet pavement versus dry pavement versus there's leaves on it, you walk over metal grates, you go up escalators and elevators and go on transit buses or just be next to a bus, and cars and bicycles. Oh my, that's part of socializing, which you can continue with your dog until they take their last breath. Socializing for me is part of management of a dog's life, and it's for life. So you're always going to be, socializing with your dog. If your dog is getting used to, you're on a regular walk and you walk by someone put out a TV, at the side of the road, for trash, and your dog hasn't seen it before, and you desensitize them to that. That's part of socializing. It's just desensitizing them to a number of different things. When it comes to dogs and people, I made this little diagram here, real fancy, right? So I take dogs that are reactive to the outside of off-leash dog parks. I like to take them to, so this is an example of, we got our off-leash dog park that is fenced in. And usually I'll start standing about 20 feet away. So you are here in a field or wherever this is outside of the park. Usually there's a lot of space. You can be in the parking lot or, somewhere safe, a safe distance away. And I'll stand at least 20 feet away, wherever the dog's threshold is. So if the dog is, say this is about 10 feet right here, if the dog is over threshold where they won't take treats, they're barking and lunging and you can't get their attention, and you can scream at them all you want and they're just still going at it, then if they're, they're over threshold at 10 feet, but you back up another 10 feet and they're fine. And they can look at the other dog, they can look away on their own, they can look at you, they'll take treats, they'll take, they're okay with petting, you can ask them to sit and they can sit down. They can respond to cues that you give them. That's your dog under threshold. So the goal is always to keep your dog under threshold. The reason why I like off-leash parks is because, one, it's pretty predictable that, you're going to go there and there's going to be at least one dog off-leash. Two, because it's fenced in, I know the dogs are going to be, behind an extra barrier. There's no risk of them, of the person running up to say hello to us. And I mean, that still is the chance with people who get out of their say there's a parking lot here and they get out of their car and let their dog run to the park on their own, which is annoying. But this allows us to, this is a fixed area with dogs in it. We are allowed, it allows us to move closer and further away as we need to while we're socializing with our dogs, while we're desensitizing our dogs. So I would start at, say the threshold is 20 feet away. Then I would just stand there. I would stand there and practice being calm. I would have my, just stand there with a loose leash, give my dog their leash, let them sniff. They can do whatever they want on this, the end of the 6-foot leash, as long as they're not pulling me and not reacting. I'm going to let them look at the dogs. I won't necessarily point them out, but I'll wait to see if they notice the dogs. If they look at the dogs and they look away, I'm going to mark and reward. Marking can be either with a clicker or with your voice saying, yes, good, cheese, whatever. The mark just means, that it should just be one simple word, that's just bing, bang, boom. just one same word every single time that's consistent. And the marker just tells the dog what you just did is going to earn you a reward. So they look at the dog, they look away on their own, mark and reward. They look at the dog, but they're not staring, mark and reward. They're not reacting, mark and reward. You can you can reward the dog for any behavior other than other than lunging and barking or pulling on leash. I always tell clients that if it looks like you're rewarding for nothing at all, you're doing it right. Because training shouldn't look like a big before and after. It should be boring. Training should look boring, but it can also be really fun. It's not necessarily boring if you think about it as, hey, we're making progress. Because we're taking time to reward behaviors we want, which will stick in the long run, versus waiting for them to make a mistake and then we correct them. I know you've been a long time viewer, and so I know that you understand how this brain works. That I'm always for the dog, but I also like to try to make lessons easy enough for the human to be able to follow through, so it's easy for the human. The dog's person, their counterpart. I want to make it easy for the person as well. So start wherever your dog's threshold is, where they can be able to take a piece of hot dog or a piece of dehydrated liver, and you can just sit there. And I would stay there for, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 or 5 minutes, just standing. I would stand there. The dog can be doodling around wherever they want. Then I would start walking in a, what is this? Not, I did it, girl. Then I would be walking parallel to the fence. I would be walking up and down at this threshold, because moving with your dog is different than your dog being stationary. Then I would slowly move a little bit closer, move up 5 feet, see how that goes. And then you're going to start all over, and you're going to sit there again. And this little star would move over here, and you would just sit there for a little bit. Do the same thing over again, and then start moving back and forth while you're right here. Then over time, and you might go home. You might go home after just being still at 20 feet, and then you go home and you come back and you practice this for a few days. And then you move closer and you practice this for a few days, and then you move a little bit closer, and so on and so forth, until your goal is to be able to be outside the fence, walking around, doing your own thing, and your dog is able to mind their business and focus on you, and they don't care about the other dogs. Your dog doesn't have to make friends with other dogs to be socialized. My goal when socializing animals is that I just want them to tolerate the presence of another dog. You don't have to make friends with them. That's part of neutrality. Somebody asked me about, you might have asked me yourself about what I think about neutrality. And I think, it shouldn't be a dog that looks like a robot and that does everything I say just because I say it, and they don't question it. I want my dog to question me. But I want my dog to be able to be confident enough on their own and feel like they can, one sec. Okay, sorry, Ellie wanted out. But I don't worry about making my dog into a robot. I just want my dog to be comfortable and to be able to tolerate, especially at 10 years old. He's an older guy, just like hi, baby girl, come here. Cutie patootie. Just like, when Adonis was young or older, he just never really cared for other dogs. We were attacked many times on leash, so that kind of explains why. But, he would tolerate other dogs. He would help with other dogs when I was training, but, he didn't care to have a lot of doggy friends. He preferred people. So my main goal when socializing dogs is just to teach them to tolerate and be comfortable around other animals. That doesn't, and they can trust me to keep them safe. It doesn't mean I'm going to force them to be friends. So that's how I would start socializing with your pup, and continue socializing with your pup. So hopefully, even though he's 10 years old, he's still always going to be a little pup. And hopefully this helps answer your question. So thanks again. Thanks for watching, everyone. Please ask any questions. Any and all questions are always welcome. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope you got something from this. In the meantime, go say howdy do to your little critters. Say howdy do for me. Give them some kind of love and they appreciate. And until next time, practice peace, patience, and positivity.